The car slowed to a stop, and I felt someone gently nudge my shoulder. Are we there already? I yawned and blinked, raising my head from where it rested on Sissel's shoulder. Looked like he still hasn't woken up yet. Owen poked his head into the car window after parking his bike in the Robin's Nest parking lot. Again, this is a street side corner bar. Like, there's no parking lots. He caught sight of Philip, Sissel, and I curled up in a sleepy pile in the back seats and smiled. Looks like we made it. You guys doing okay? I'm tired. There was a clack as Morse stepped out of the car. You kids can get some proper sleep when you're settled inside. I own this entire mixed-use building. There's an open apartment upstairs that you can use as a refuge while I sort out this whole mess. Thanks, Morse. You know, you're a pretty swell guy despite the whole criminal thing and all the glaring you do. Morse shot me a withered look before walking off. It looked like he didn't sleep a wink. He was staring anxiously at Sissel's reflection in the rearview mirror, his brow furrowed as he studied his nephew's unconscious state. When he noticed my gaze, Herschel quickly looked elsewhere. Hey, it's okay, Herschel. Sissel's gonna wake up before you know it. He's been looking forward to talking with you. Herschel said nothing and hung his head low, his gaze fixed at his feet. I sighed and reached down to gently hold Sissel's hand. Even without the whole people trying to murder us fiasco, this would be a difficult rift to mend. The memory of the previous timeline where Sissel ran away from everything and Herschel's broken spirit was still fresh in my mind. Compared to that, here we still had a fighting chance. I gripped Sissel's hand tightly and buried my face against his neck. Everything will be okay this time around. I swear it. Glancing outside, I spotted Morse approaching a stern-looking bouncer stationed at the front of the Robin's Nest lounge. The bouncer peered at us, huddling inside the car with a raised brow. Who's this lot supposed to be? They're my guests. Tighten up security for the next few days while they're here. You taking another batch of strays? That's just like you, boss. Don't worry. I'll make sure the place is locked down from any prying eyes. The bouncer's face split into a playful grin. Are you gonna be adopting them like Jenny and Philip? The place is turning into a daycare. Even from across the parking lot, I could see Morse visibly roll his eyes before returning to the car. That was Terry, my bouncer. He'll ensure no one enters the building without our permission and knowledge. You're all safe here. Now hurry inside. Philip's bleeding all over the car seats. Heading inside the Robin's Nest took more effort than expected. Herschel and I gingerly carried Sissel's sleeping form through the narrow hallway, taking extra care not to bump his head. Behind us, Philip and Owen were squabbling over whether he should be carried bridal style or something more dignified. A profound sense of déjà vu washed over me as we shuffled through the narrow hallways of the Robin's Nest. I've never actually been here in this timeline, have I? It was Jenny who took me here last time. Owen and Herschel were both befuddled with their own why the hell is there a bar lounge hidden beneath another bar lounge moment before Morse led us up a cramped staircase. Morse herded us into a rather small apartment on the second floor before immediately pulling out a first aid kit and fussing over our injuries. Owen and I were relatively unharmed. The worst I got was some chafing burns where I was grabbed moments before falling off a speeding truck. Morse busied himself with bandaging up Philip's shoulder and shoving his swollen ankle into a medical boot. Sissel and I were laid out across a couch with an ice pack for his swollen head injury while Herschel got all his cuts and bruises cleaned. Thankfully, no one seemed seriously hurt, just a little banged up. Well, now that I'm sure you'll all survive the night, I'm going downstairs to make a few calls with my contacts. We need to have a clear understanding of your situation with the Lorleys. They probably believe that they successfully killed Sissel and Herschel tonight, which lessens some pressure on our end, but his intense amber eyes peered over each of us. They'll be on the lookout for a meddling third party who interfered with their business. You will all be in danger if you're spotted by the Lorleys at any point. None of you are to leave this building until we find a way to defuse this situation. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Thank you for helping us. Sorry my family's being a pain in the ass. I appreciate the help, man. Philip looked dazed from all the painkillers he just took, but raised his bootleg as if to say, I'm not going anywhere. Morse shot us all doubtful looks. I know I'm asking for the impossible, but stay out of trouble. I'll be downstairs if you need anything. And with that, the tall informant left us to our own devices. Almost immediately, Herschel quietly dismissed himself and fled to one of the small bathrooms without another word. His face was clouded with guilt and frustration and a general storm of anxiety before it was quickly hidden behind a shut door. He's not taking things very well, is he? Let out a long, exhausted sigh and plopped down on the couch next to Sissel's sleeping body. I can't blame him. It's been one hell of a day. Just this morning, yesterday morning, he had to confess his greatest shame and secret to Sissel and then nearly lost his life. Everyone here probably just needs a moment to process everything. I'm sure it'll come around with time. Glanced down at Sissel's peacefully sleeping face. Now, if only Sissel would hurry and wake up. Everything feels weird and quiet without him. Sissel's always had a thick skull on him. I'm sure he'll be fine. What, you already feeling some of that boyfriend separation anxiety? Honestly, yeah. Just want to give him a hug and make sure that dip in the lake didn't jiggle his brain too hard. Sighed and plopped down on top of Sissel, burying my face in his chest. Come on, wake up. You still owe me a cute pet name. What? Owen was holding back a wide grin. You two are so cute. I'm glad I helped play matchmaker for your first date. Sacrificing that fancy restaurant is worth it to see you make an honest man out of our little Sissel. I'm just glad I don't have to listen to him pining all day. I felt my face flushed with heat as I scratched my head sheepishly. Jeez, it's only been like 2 days. But yeah, it's been really nice if you ignore all the murder and the drowning. I'm lucky to have this big doofus. Owen smirked and waggled his eyebrows suggestively. Fuck's sake, enunciation. No, the real question is, have you guys gotten to third base yet? Gross. What? I just wanted to be helpful in case this will need my expertise. I can offer plenty of tips to spice things up if you two need it. What? Fuck, really? This is where a choice comes up? Out of all the shit we just did? Well, let's look at them. I don't remember if Sissel was like, don't tell anyone, so let's just see how they all react. Or how it all goes, starting from, of course, the most funny one. Why do you ask? Are you trying to join the party? Why do you ask? Trying to join the party? To my surprise, a bright flush filled Owen's face, and he scratched his head sheepishly. Nah, I wouldn't want to put it on a new couple like that. I just wanted some details to tease Sissel with later. Unless you two are into this sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe. We've never really talked about it before. I thought you and Philip were a thing, though. Philip made a face like he caught a whiff of something particularly foul. Absolutely not. Owen and I have been getting along, but we're not a thing. Okay, you don't have to say it like it's a medical diagnosis. Philip tried his best to look extremely displeased. I like Owen. He's a good friend. But, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but he's a very needy guy for a kind of thing I can't give him. We wouldn't work out as a thing. You can have him if you want. Hey, don't pass me around like I'm a stray. I tapped my chin dramatically, as though thinking it over. I don't know. I'll have to talk with Sissel before we adopt any pets. The flush on Owen's face reddened even more. Something told me he enjoyed that idea. Suddenly felt a weight under me shift as Sissel's arms rose to pull me into a possessive hug. If we're adopting Owen, I'm putting him on a leash and leaving him outside. Sissel, how long have you been awake? Sissel grinned as he sat up on the couch, and then winced as he clutched his bruised head. Just woke up, actually. The sound of Owen being an idiot brought me back to my senses. He rubbed his eyes groggily and took in the unfamiliar room he was in. The last thing... Okay, I imagine this is where it, starts back up again, so let's, load and see what the other choices are. Third base, I've hit a home run already. Third base? Amateurs, I've hit a home run already. Whoa, really? Already? No, our little Sissel's finally grew up. When did all this happen? Come on, man, you gotta give us the deets. Behind him, Philip was glaring at his booted leg as though cursing it for preventing him from walking out of the room. I grinned and snuggled closer to Sissel on the couch. Oh, you should have seen it. Sissel does this adorable thing where he does something really sexy to seduce me and then gets all flustered when it actually works. On the night of our first date, he was pinning me down on the bed, and I suddenly felt the weight shift under me as Sissel's hand shot up to pinch my cheek in an attempt to silence me. You are not gonna give him any examples. I'll never live it down. Sissel, you're asleep. Sissel grinned as he sat up on the couch and winced to the bruised head. Just woke up, the sound of Owen being an idiot. Yep. Okay. Cool. So that one was less involved, but still fun. I never kiss and tell. That's all between Sissel and me. You'll just have to use your imagination if you want details. Aw, that's no fun. Oh, thank God, another sane person. Yes, thank you. Please keep all of that in the bedroom. I let out a melodramatic and defeated sigh. All right, fine. Keep your secrets. And so, yeah, possessive hug. That's right, Owen, stay jealous. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so all of them seem to go fine. I don't really know what the significance of this choice is. For the time being, I'll just go with the one that seemed the most kind of fun, which was the bottom one. But we'll see if that plays into anything else. The last thing I remember was sinking into the lake in Boss's old rusty truck. Did I miss anything? Hey, what are you... Everyone hugs the man. Sissel wheezed as I yanked him into a crushing hug, followed by a grinning Owen, who leaped at us with arms outstretched. Even Philip scooted closer to give Sissel a comforting pat on the shoulder. It's good to have you back, sis. How are you feeling? Sissel's eyes softened as he gingerly hugged back. Kinda shit. My whole head feels like jello. I just woke up and immediately got the life squeezed out of me by the power of friendship. It beats drowning at the bottom of a lake, so I guess I'll take what I can get. Let out a laugh and hugged him even more tightly. It's good to have you back, sis. Nice. Satisfied that Sissel was now awake, Owen and Philip went downstairs to see if Morse had any luck with getting information about our situation. That left just the two of us in the apartment living room. Sissel had insisted that he was okay, but I gave him a thorough pat down to make sure he didn't have any more injuries. Kind of like how you'd fill up a cantaloupe at the supermarket to check for bruises. And then I gave him a second pat down. I was about to give him a third, but he grabbed my wandering hands and muttered with a flushed face that I could give him a more thorough checkup later, which I happily agreed to. As Sissel took some painkillers for his throbbing head, I caught him up with everything that happened while he was asleep. His face was grim as I went over the details of Herschel's heavy guilt and how he tried to distance himself whenever possible. So, boss still isn't in a talkative mood, is he? Not surprising. I wasn't expecting him to open up right away. Sissel was quiet for several moments before a determined look filled his face. He glanced around the small, dingy apartment. Which room did he lock himself in? One on the right. Sissel immediately got up and marched over to Herschel's door. He rapped on the door loudly. Hey, boss, it's me. Still in there? He pressed his ear against the door, straining to hear any sign of movement on the other side. There's a slight rustling, as though someone had approached, but was hesitant to open up. Sissel sighed and glared at the door quietly. It's all right. I understand. Things are kind of a mess right now, and probably don't want to talk. I'm just asking you to listen. I want you to know that I meant what I said earlier, back in the lake. I want you to be part of my life. There's no need to rush things, of course. We can take things slowly, but I want you to be here eventually. You're not protecting me by hiding yourself away. He paused, scratching his chin thoughtfully. How about we sleep things off for the day and gather our thoughts, and then we can talk about it over breakfast tomorrow. Sound good? He fell silent. Sissel and I exchanged nervous looks as we both strained our ears for any response. Eventually, there was a very soft, all right, from the other side of the door. And then a quiet, wistful laugh. When did you grow up so fast? No clue. Guess I had a pretty decent boss who showed me the ropes. There's another laugh behind the door. Talk to you tomorrow, kid. Yeah. Sissel took a step back from Herschel's room before turning to me hesitantly. Do you think? I gave him a reassuring pat on the shoulder. That went pretty well, all things considered. You think so? I never know what to say in these kinds of situations. I kind of just thought, what would John say? And just winged it from there. But, really? Yeah. Sissel stared at me for several thoughtful moments. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but you've been almost non-stop supportive lately. During the preliminaries, the date night, and even when those dead collectors showed up. I don't know what's come over you, but it's been nice. I've been thinking to myself lately, I want to be more like you. If I suddenly felt hot as Sissel reached out to grasp my hand. He tried to hide a sheepish smile. I've spent too much time moping about how bad things have gotten. It's about time I started lifting people up instead, right? Like you. My stomach fluttered as I squeezed his hand. You have a lot of trouble maintaining your punk bad boy image if you keep being so damn sweet. Sissel grinned. I'll have you know that it's extremely punk to support your boyfriend. It is. After a bit, Sissel and I wandered downstairs in the robin's nest to look around. We found Philip right at home in the empty lounge area with his booted leg propped up on one of the chairs. Morse was behind the counter mumbling into his phone in hushed whispers. He'd made himself a steaming cup of coffee, but it apparently didn't occur to him that he'd need to lower his oversized scarf to drink it. The coffee now sat sadly on the far side of the counter, doomed to grow cold without receiving a single sip. Trying to make me feel bad for fucking a liquid? Damn. Sissel scratched his head and glanced toward me nervously. He had insisted on thanking the guy who put a roof over our head while gangsters were possibly out trying to murder us. It was only polite after all. Now that we're here, it was hard to think of what to say to such a stern-looking man. As we approached, Morse looked up and scanned over us with piercing amber eyes. You're awake. How are you feeling? Oh, I'm doing better. Just a little bruised in the head. Sissel was mumbling very quickly under his breath. Sorry for the trouble, sir. You had no reason to help us, but you still did, and so I just wanted to say thanks, Mr. Former Gang Tattoo Artist Man. The criminal informant suddenly looked like a tired and overworked preschool teacher. It's Morse, and I'm not an actual tattoo artist. On the day we met, Jenny called me that day, citing a personal emergency. I dropped everything and rushed over only to discover that her friend really wanted a tattoo to match his boss's. Philip perked up from his chair with a raised brow. And you said yes? I did not want to deal with crying children. Oh, come on, we're at least teenagers at the time. You are all still children. Children that I am apparently stuck babysitting. Try to stay out of trouble, won't you? In our defense, we wouldn't have gone through all that trouble if it weren't important. Children don't do important things. I believe the proper course of action would be to inform an adult. I let out a small chuckle. Well, that's why I called you, didn't I? I tried calling you, but someone suddenly didn't know how to answer their phone. Suddenly, Morse shot Philip a withered look. I was busy. A VIP on my watch list reported a stolen motorcycle, and I had to make sure no bullshittery was abound. A stolen motorcycle? Philip blinked. The clown bike? Morse nodded ruefully. The clown bike. I know you kids needed a ride, but did you really have to steal the world's least inconspicuous motorcycle? I had to throw a tarp over the damn thing in the parking lot just to make sure that the Loreleis didn't immediately notice that you were hiding here. That's on Owen's bad taste. I'm not taking responsibility over that thing. I glanced around curiously. Speaking of which, where is he? I thought I saw him come downstairs with you earlier. The three of us jumped at a loud rattling sound coming from one of the maintenance closets. Hey, what's the big idea? What the fuck let me out? Why did you lock him in the closet? Morse didn't look up and pulled the scarf a little tighter over his face. He's a Lorelei. I have to take precautions. I mean, Owen's kind of annoying sometimes, but he's not a danger to anyone. He's a danger to my patients. Morse cleared his throat loudly and glanced down at his phone notifications. Now that we've gotten the small talk out of the way, I suppose you kids want to learn about your situation. I'm assuming, despite your reckless actions, that you are interested in surviving the night. I blinked. That was a pretty clumsy attempt to change topics. I was tempted to prod him about it, but I'd be unwise to piss off a guy who's trying to keep us alive. Have you heard back from your informant friends? Yeah, what's the situation so far? You'll be happy to hear that the entirety of the Lorelei family is not currently bearing down on you. It looks like those two debt collectors fully believe that they've killed Herschel McDemont and one of his employees. Thus, they have reported as such to the superiors. However, they've neglected to mention that a group of children attempted to interfere with their work tonight, and they seem to be hiding the fact that Owen Lorelei is among you. It seems they want to avoid angering certain members of the Loreleis who have vested interest in Owen's well-being. So, what does that mean for us? It means that we don't have to worry about an entire mafia family hunting you. For now, those two thugs are probably quietly looking for you kids on their own to avoid stirring up any trouble. Wise choice, considering recent events. Recent events? Some members of the Lorelei family are trying to steer themselves towards a cleaner public image. Ever since the fiasco at Very Legal Seafoods, they've been... Sorry. I tried to hold it together through that fucking name, but I just couldn't. They've been trying to stay out of any more public messes to save face. It won't be pretty when word gets out that their family debt collectors caused 2 locals to disappear. Sissel and I exchanged surprised looks. Oh, wait. What's this about very legal seafoods? Apparently, one of the Loreley's own, a high-end fancy restaurant that had come under scrutiny by the health board. The place was atrociously not up to code and was about to be hit by a dozen lawsuits, but conveniently, just a few days ago, the whole building burned down. Rumor has it that the Lorelei's committed arson to destroy evidence. I coughed loudly and extremely innocently. Yeah, that's probably what happened. Just out of curiosity, there haven't been any rumors about other possible causes for the fire, right? Not that I know of. Morse squinted, his hawk-like eyes piercing through us like spears. Should there be? No, not at all. Those darn Loreleys burning down a whole building to cover their tracks. Who does that kind of thing? Unbelievable. Someone ought to teach you kids a thing or two about subtlety. I want to hear that from someone dressed like a trench coat flasher. Or shot me a withered glare and pulled his scarf a little higher. It's a disguise. It's not working. Philip's getup is edgy as hell, but at least he's got the sense to cover up his face. Philip lifted his head and scowled through the haze of his painkillers. Rude. But he does have a point. Who are you trying to hide from? Morse let out a long sigh as he gathered his files and undrunken coffee from the counter and stood up to leave. I have officially used up my reserves of patience for the day. Do not speak to me again. Stay in the building, stay quiet, and stay out of trouble until I sort out this mess. Understood? And if you'll excuse me. Sissel fidgeted nervously as the informant turned to leave. Wait! Morse, can I talk to you for a second? Morse paused. Sissel gulped and kept his gaze low. Yesterday we found an old photo of you back when you were still at Granny Academy. Is it true that you knew my mom? If it's not too much trouble, can I ask you a few things about her? A look of surprise flicked across Morse's face for a moment. Let me see this photo. I hopped to my feet and dug out Mrs. Corliss's old photograph. I mean, is that supposed to be Mrs. Corliss in the background on the far right? Is that what I missed in this whole situation? Like a younger Mrs. Corliss posing with her students, or... Because the presence of that character over there is really fucking with me. Anyway, Morse plucked it out of my hands and gazed at it in silence for several long moments. His eyes trailed across the faces in the photo, each one smiling back with cheer and innocence that was lost to time. Looking up, he was met with the storm of embarrassment and nervousness swimming across Sissel's face. Morse's eyes softened, and he handed the photograph back to Sissel with a gentleness he'd never shown before. It feels like an eternity since we took that photo together. But yes, I knew Cecilia. What would you like to know? Sissel scratched his head, a bashful flush filling his cheeks. Sorry, this might be kind of weird. I just learned that my mom existed a few days ago. I guess I just want to learn more about her, you know? Morse nodded. Even through the thick scarf hiding his face, a genuine fond smile shone through his piercing amber eyes. Cecilia was a stubbornly kind woman. On the day we met, I was in a bit of a crisis. My best friend got into a spot of trouble, and I needed help getting him out. Cecilia was busy with a laundry list of problems herself, but she didn't hesitate to aid a complete stranger like me. Thinking back, I owe quite a lot to her. Morse peered into Sissel's face intently, as though trying to catch a glimpse of the woman he once knew. So my mind immediately went to when we gave Sissel his wallet when we still didn't know him. Anyway, he let out a soft chuckle. She was a ruthless chess player. She hated onions, and she had a bad habit of feeding the leftover crumbs from her culinary classes to the campus crows. A mob of them decided that she was a friend and started dropping random shiny things they found at her window. He felt quiet. Cecilia was always afraid that she was unfixable. Too fucked up by her parents to ever be a good friend or a good person. Or a good sister. I suppose that's why she was so eager to help the people around her. Always the first to offer help, and always the last to ask for it. I think she wanted to prove that she could be someone worthwhile, despite her upbringing. Morse stared at the ceiling for several moments. Cecilia was a good friend. A good person. She was worth more than just the things that she did. I wish I told her that more often when we were younger. Sissel stared down at the young woman smiling back at him in the photograph. She sounds like an interesting lady. What about my boss? My uncle, Herschel? You guys probably knew each other too, right? An amused look flashed across Morse's eyes as he packed up and the rest of his things. I was his babysitter. You're joking, really? Whenever Cecilia was busy with classes or work, she'd drop her little brother off with my partner and I. He was a perfectly mediocre child. I don't recall him speaking with that stupid accent as a kid, though. I called it! I knew that wasn't his real voice. And it is a stupid accent. Morse froze, and then a look of what could only be described as pain-inducing cringe flickered across his face. What is it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I better get going. There's still several contacts I need to speak with. He began to leave, but paused and sniffed the air around Sissel. You need a shower. You still reek like the bottom of a lake after your little dip. The apartment bathroom should be fully stocked with toiletries. There's also a laundry room down the hall. Do try to keep yourselves presentable while you're here. With that, he stomped out of the room and left us alone in the lounge. As soon as Morse was out of earshot, Sissel lifted his arm and sniffed at himself self-consciously. I don't smell that bad, do I? Our choices are go shower stinky or hey, I like the way you smell. I guess we'll save on that choice as well. For fuck's sake. I'm not into smells. I'm really not, but we're not the one in the game, I guess. Let's try. Hey, it's fine. I like the way you smell. Sissel's cheeks reddened for a moment before he scowled. I know you're trying to be supportive and all, but I'm pretty sure I reek like fish and seaweed right now. I should probably go wash up. In that case, I'll help you scrub your back. It's my responsibility as a supportive boyfriend. If possible, Sissel's cheeks grew even redder. Why are you offering? I mean, is that a normal thing for people who are dating to do? Sissel groaned and rubbed his temples. Oh my God, get a room! The three of us jumped as the maintenance closet door rattled loudly again. Wait, I also stink. Please let me out. I could use a shower too. Fucking hell. Oh, I forgot about Owen. One sec. Philip grunted as he bunny hopped towards the closet, his booted leg held carefully off the ground. Yep, there he goes. He's hopping. Okay. I feel like we've gone past where the other one would have left off, so let's load in again and see what the other choice does. Shower stinky. Sissel's cheeks reddened as he quickly lowered his arm. You guys should have said something. I would have cleaned up before coming down here. Sissel lifted his tired head from the counter. Philip lifted his tired head from the counter and wrinkled his nose. John doesn't smell much better. He was practically lying on top of you during the car ride here and soaked up all that lake water goodness. You both could use some serious scrubbing. I hastily lifted my shirt to my nose and sniffed. I guess we'll have to shower together, sis. If possible, yeah, okay. So they both kind of go in the same direction. I'll just do a positive thing in the meantime. Bounce it, blonk. Owen toppled out of the closet with a gasp. Oh my god, I thought I was gonna be stuck in there for the whole night. That Morse seems to have it out for me. Shoved me in there the moment I came downstairs. What'd I ever do to him? He's just kind of like that with new people. He squinted at Owen for several moments. And he's got a bad history with the Loreleys himself. It makes sense that he's a little cautious. Oh. His face fell and he scratched his head. My family does have a habit of screwing everything up. He glanced up at Sissel with a hint of shame. John told us about your whole family situation yesterday morning, and I knew immediately that my family were the ones behind it. And, apparently they're the ones who killed your mom. I'm sorry, man. I didn't really think of it like that. Don't beat yourself up over it. I'm bad at math, but I'm pretty sure you were like a toddler when this happened. You're not responsible for any of that shit. You say that, but... Sissel threw a friendly punch to the shoulder. It's threw him that punch. Don't you fall into a moping session on me. I thought I was the broody one. Not gonna lie, it does feel kind of weird knowing your folks kind of started this whole mess. I've known you for years, Owen. You're a good guy. Sometimes. And... Sissel's gaze flickered between all of us and a small smile broke across his face. Thanks for saving my uncle tonight. All of you. I never thought I'd have friends who'd steal a motorbike to smuggle my loved ones to safety or get into a gunfight to make sure the rest of us were safe. You're all batshit insane, and I'm lucky to have you guys in my life. So, thanks. Owen blinked in surprise. His face flushed a bit as he stared at his feet sheepishly. It's the least I could do. My family is actively hunting for our asses right now. You should save your thanks until we figure a way out of this mess. I guess in the meantime, we can complain about being under sort of house arrest, just like Jenny. Sissel snorted. As if that ever stopped Teach from leaving whenever she wanted. We probably shouldn't follow her example, though. Oh, this is the Animal Crossing song. Fucking hell, an Animal Crossing remix. Oh, Jesus. Animal Crossing, specifically the original GameCube version, is probably the OST that I put on as background music to relax the most. Like it's fucking Animal Crossing, Metropolis Mania, the original Sims, like those are kind of my comfort soundtracks. I feel like if those thugs didn't get to us, Morse would kill us himself with his bare hands. Philip looked amused. Are you guys actually scared of him? I know he's got a bad case of resting bitch face, but he's pretty sweet once you get to know him. I'll have to take your word for it. The guy looks like he's down for murder at a moment's notice. He seems nice enough. Just reluctantly dealing with us out of an obligation, I guess. How do you know him so well? Oh, Morse helps me with my Black Cat operations and patches me up whenever I get hurt. Not that it happens often, but it still happens. He might come off as a little stern, but it's mostly because he worries a lot. What? Sissel's eyes nearly bulged out of his head in disbelief. Oh No, we are not all on the same page here. Wait, you're the black cat? Oh, I forgot. You're the only one here who doesn't know. You guys knew already? Since when? Why didn't anyone tell me? Well, I found out after Philip took a bullet for me a few days ago. He seems to take those pretty often. Sissel grabbed Philip's hand and shook it furiously, as though seeing him in an entirely new light. I've always been a big fan. I can't believe you've been right under my nose this whole time. Thanks. Feels kind of weird to have it out in the open. You do autographs? I have this little newspaper clipping of the time that you took down my old orphanage somewhere. I think the whole point of a secret identity is to, keep it secret. I know, but don't you think you can make an exception? No. Sissel deflated, his ears drooping. Come on, Philip, you can at least give your biggest fan a hug, can't you? Philip stiffened? No, you all still stink. Hurry up and get showered. Sissel fiddled with the hem of his shirt self-consciously. Yeah, don't exactly have a change of clothes. There's a laundry room down the hall from the apartment we're holed up in. Just toss whatever you have in there while you wash up. Owen opened his mouth at a teasing grin on his face, but before he could utter a word, Philip immediately shot him a deadpan look. I will stay down here and help Morse with his contacts and paperwork. You guys do whatever it is you're gonna do. I'll come upstairs after you're all done, and I expect the room to be perfectly spotless and untarnished. You sure you don't want to come? Philip was already getting up and bunny hopping across the room on his one good leg. Completely spotless, you got it. And with that, he disappeared into the little office that Morse had retreated into earlier. Sissel and I shot Owen sympathetic looks. You doing okay, man? Owen chuckled and scratched his head awkwardly. Oh, I'm fine. No worries. How are you and Philip doing? I notice you two seem to be getting along better lately, but not always. Do you need us to help you out with some wingman duties? Seems only fair with how much you guys help me, after all. Philip and me? I mean, we've gotten a lot closer, way better than a couple of weeks ago, thankfully, but I'm grateful to have him as a friend. He's helped me through some things I never thought I would fully process. But, I don't think we're ever gonna get closer than friends. We're very good friends, but also very different people with, different needs. Owen glanced between the two of us and sighed wistfully. Not all of us are a match made in heaven. I think we were a match made in an arson fire, actually. Aw, cheer up, man. At least you got a good friend out of it. No need to worry about old me. I honestly think Philip gets a kick out of our little song and dance these days. He cleared his throat loudly. Anyway, enough dwelling about my tragic love life. Let's hurry up and get cleaned up. Owen strutted towards the stairs before shooting us a wink. I guess we all got to shower together to save water. It's only polite after all. Sissel rolled his eyes and slung a possessive arm over my shoulder. Sorry, man. John is my boyfriend. Get your own shower, buddy. Oh my. Oh my. There's two different ones? Are you excited to see me in the nude again? I don't mind a group shower, more the merrier. Or it's a long day, rather shower alone. For fuck's sake. I guess we'll start top to bottom, like most people to less people. I don't mind a group shower, more the merrier. Sissel spluttered wildly while Owen's eyebrows almost shot off his forehead in surprise. Apparently he wasn't expecting any success with his flirty endeavors. Wow, really? I'm glad somebody's showing Sissel how to have fun every now and then. He's way too uptight. Sorry, could we have a little team huddle for a second? Felt Sissel tug on my sleeve and pull me into the corner of the room. Oh, he's close. Are you serious about having Owen join us and all that? Yeah, I mean, it was sort of a half joke, but I can stop if it makes you uncomfortable. What? No, that's not it.
kind of new to this whole boyfriend affection thing, but I'm open to trying things out if you are.
I peered closely at Sissel's reddening face. Are you sure you're comfy with this? I mean, yeah. If Shirakoi's Twitter's anything to go by, it's not exactly new. Feel like it's probably non-canon, though. Sissel glanced over his shoulder at Owen before turning back toward me.
Listen, I like you first and foremost, but if you want other folks to join in on occasion, I'm open to it. Like you said, the more the merrier.
He cleared his throat loudly.
Also, I do have eyes. Owen's a big slap at meat, and I can see why you'd think this would be fun.
So you're into it too? You really are the best boyfriend a guy could ask for. Sissel shot me a sly grin and pecked me on the cheek.
Hey, I want you to be happy too, you needy little twat.
We tried to give each other our best seductive looks, but it just ended up breaking down in snickers. From behind us, Owen's ears perked up curiously.
What are you two whispering about over there?
Oh, nothing. We're just having a very important boyfriend conversation. Owen sighed wistfully.
Oh, you two lovebirds. Maybe I'll finally get a taste of true love one of these days.
Sissel rolled his eyes and slung a possessive arm around my shoulder as he steered me toward the stairs.
Come on, let's hurry and get cleaned up.
As he pulled me toward the stairs, Sissel glanced back at Owen expectantly.
Well, you coming or what? Huh? Wait, you being serious?
Sissel smirked and his arms snaked down my back and wriggled underneath my jeans, making a show of grabbing my bare ass. I grinned and arched my back into Sissel's grip, which only made my pants dip lower on my hips. Owen visibly gulped, his eyes glued to our erotic display. I clicked my tongue and gestured towards him as though I was beckoning a pet. Well, don't just stand there. You can get a better look once we're in the shower. Owen's face lit up and he hurried behind us like a puppy at our heels. Sissel's little reach into my pants trick was hot, but in hindsight it was remarkably less sexy when my pants dropped to my ankles and I tripped on the stairs. He apologized profusely and promised to never do it again, a promise that I aggressively made him retract. Shower time. The apartment bathroom was rather small, especially the tiny shower tub. Fitting the three of us in there was going to be a struggle. As Sissel and I stepped inside, there was an awkward pause as we tried to figure out where to even start. From behind us, Owen let out a little chuckle.
Thanks for letting me join in, you guys. I know it probably feels a little weird since you're a pretty new couple, so I'm probably not going to get too involved. But I appreciate you guys giving me an eyeful.
I grinned and began peeling off my shirt and wiggling out of my pants. Sissel and Owen's eyes immediately darted downward in appreciation. I winked and strutted into the bathtub, making a show of bending over while checking the soap and shampoo. Fuck's sake. Well, you guys are gonna keep staring, or are you gonna join me? Let out a yelp as a warm hand suddenly clapped my butt cheek and gave it a firm squeeze.
Sorry, I was distracted. I'm gonna have to get used to seeing this more often, aren't I?
Sissel's fingers kneaded my ass fondly before drawing lazy circles around my sensitive wow. Okay. I knew I would have to cut the scene short at some point, but the circles around the sensitive rim is definitely the point in which describing this on YouTube officially crosses a line. So I will summarize it when at the end of it. And if you want to play it for yourself or see the scene for yourself, links to play this game is in the description down below. It's free. You can financially support it if you so wish. But yeah, I'll describe what happens at the end of it. Okay, so scene's over now. And in summation, I imagine that it's roughly going to be the same scene as when you're in there with Sissel, with just Sissel, in terms of what physically happens, because Owen just sort of sat back and watched. A lot of fun back and forth, good dialogue, good descriptions, And then they get interrupted by Philip being like, "You've been in there for 40 minutes. Did you say something about saving water for fuck's sake?" And then they had to start getting cleaned up. But they agreed that it would be fun to do that again. They all enjoyed it. There was no hint of, well, I guess if they would be into it. Like, it was all consensual and cool. To double check that it is like the scene with you and Sissel, we'll go ahead and do that one. I laughed and leaned into Sissel, my head resting on his shoulder with a pleased thump. "Oh, are you that excited to see me in the nude again?" Sissel spluttered and his face flushed. He glanced around the room before turning toward me hesitantly. "Is it bad if I say yes?" Felt him pull me a little closer as his voice dipped into a nervous whisper. "Listen, this whole boyfriend thing, so sorry if I mess up here and there, but I am trying to be more open about the whole affection thing. Yeah, I think you're really cute, and you look nice naked. Shit, is it okay for me to say?" I laughed and reached up with both hands, squeezed his cheeks. "You're so damn cute." "Okay, listen, I love you, man, but you can't keep saying that in front of other people. I've got a reputation to maintain." "Sounds like you should take me somewhere private to teach me a lesson. Like the showers, maybe." Sissel's face flushed pink yet again. He glanced around the room before grabbing my hand with a sly grin and marched me up the stairs. Sissel tried his best to not look too eager as he led me by the hand into the bathroom and the apartment upstairs. The place was on the small side, but rather cozy. As he turned to lock the door behind us, I grinned and pulled his hand that was clutching mine underneath the waistband of my pants. Sissel's floppy ears shot up in surprise before he shyly squeezed my yup. Okay, that's where I have to cut it off. I will summarize it after it all. Same disclaimers as before. You want to see the scene, play it yourself. It's free. Link in the description, blah, blah, blah. That's fun. That's a fun line. "Excuse you, I'm not adorable. I'm as fucking punk as it gets." That's good. Okay, so yeah, that was essentially the same scene, just sans Owen. It was a little more romantic and less lust-driven. Of course, there was plenty of lust in there. It was just more there for the cute. And then if we choose to shower alone, it's the last option. It's been a long day. I'd rather shower alone. Sissel shrugged. "Fair enough. We all need some time to rest up and get our thoughts in order." "Do we really, though? Don't you know showering is a communal activity? To you, maybe. The rest of us are normal." "Well, I can't say I don't like the idea of it." I waggled my eyebrows at Sissel with a grin. Probably looked away with his face flushed. "But I'm just too tired to do anything after last night." A massive yawn escaped my throat as I rubbed the exhaustion out of my eyes. I'm sure Philip will be thrilled that he doesn't need to be afraid of touching anything when he comes back upstairs. There's a fond look on Sissel's face as he, with one arm still slung over my shoulder, gently guided me upstairs. "You look like shit. Come on, let's get you cleaned up and get you some real sleep." I tried to reply with something teasing, maybe poke him with another cute pet name, but it was betrayed by another yawn. He could only nod in thanks as I was carried upstairs. Okay, so yeah, it completely skips over the shower. So let's go back to the choice one last time, because it's the most crucial fucking thing in the whole game. And quite frankly, I'm just going to go with the big one with them all together. There was no real negativity to it. They all seemed to go along with it. They, there was none of those tropes of like one of them only kind of being into it once they get going with it. It was, yeah. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to go with and get back to the scene. The day passed quickly into night as everyone settled down into the tiny apartment above the robin's nest. Exhaustion hung over everyone after the day's events, and we all sank into our beds without much energy for anything other than sleep. Sissel and I huddled together under our sheets in a snoring tangle of limbs. On the other side of the room, Owen and Philip were snoozing quietly in a bed of their own, though with a bit more space between them. And there we all slept, with only the rhythmic sound of breathing and Owen's thunderous snoring. It was well into the night when I woke to Sissel tossing and turning in his sleep, accompanied with frustrated grumbles. I blinked the haze out of my eyes and snuggled closer to him, burying my face against his neck. "Sis, you having a bad dream or something?" Sissel was silent for a moment. He rolled onto his back and stared quietly into the ceiling.
Sorry. Did I wake you?
Nah, don't worry about it. I'm a light sleeper anyway. Let out an enormous yawn and flop back onto his chest. You want to talk about it?
Kinda. It's gonna sound weird, but I guess not as weird as everything that's already happened today.
He let out a sigh, his arm wrapped around my shoulders and pulling me closer into a warm embrace.
I've been having this weird recurring dream for the past few days. It started on the day before the culinary tournament, but back then it was easy and I couldn't make heads or tails of it. But as time went on, the dreams got more and more lucid. And today, when I got knocked out in the lake, it kind of all came flooding back to me.
What kind of dreams you having? Nightmares? He shook his head firmly.
No. These were just kind of sad. I dreamt that I lost the culinary tournament. Some sabotage nonsense happened and I got disqualified.
My stomach seized with a wave of dread. I stiffened and stared up at Sissel apprehensively, but he didn't seem to notice. Were pieces of the previous timeline seeping through? What did this mean? Sissel continued on, oblivious to the dread seeping through my chest.
Needless to say, that fucking sucked. My mind fell into a bad place. In the dream, I ran off and holed up in my moping shack, as Teach likes to call it. It seemed like I was determined to be miserable. But,
Sissel shifted and turned to face me, his cheeks suddenly a little pink.
But then, you guys showed up. You and Teach, Philip and Owen. You guys all showed up to drag me out of my little stupor. We camped out in Bradley Woods, and that night, because you all refused to leave me alone with my misery, even though I was being a real ass about it, all that just to make sure I was okay.
I felt Sissel squeeze my hand softly with a sheepish smile.
I know it was all a dream, but it felt so real. I'm grateful. You guys had to deal with my moping sessions too much. I want to do better. I want to be better for you.
A bubbly warmth filled my chest. I couldn't help but let out a shaky laugh. You're already a great guy, Sissel. You don't need to do any of that.
Of course I don't need to. Just like how you guys don't need to support me at every turn, but I want to.
He sighed and stared up at the ceiling.
I know I've got a bad habit of throwing a fit whenever people try to help me. Because I've always felt a little worthless because of the way I grew up. But honestly, these past few days, I started to realize how lucky I am to have some of the best friends a guy could ever ask for. Like how much you had my back during the culinary tournament, and how Owen and Philip were willing to go through batshit insane situations for my sake. I want you all to know that I love you. In a weird, hard to articulate way.
Sissel let out a chuckle.
And one day, I want to be just as supportive to you. Not because I owe you or anything, but because I want to. Kindness isn't a debt to be repaid. It's a gift.
But I felt Sissel's arms wrap around me in a tight hug, his warm breath brushing against my cheek.
I'm glad to have you in my life, John.
A flood of emotions flooded through my entire body. I could only hug back and nod. If I opened my mouth to say anything, everything would come flooding out, and I didn't want to sound like I want to start sobbing like a baby tonight. And so I just hugged him back and nodded. Sissel seemed to understand, and we held each other for several long moments while he rubbed gentle circles into my back while I tried very hard not to cry. Thankfully, or unfortunately, depending on how you looked at it, we were interrupted by a quiet "oh" from the other side of the room. Okay, Owen, don't stand up straight or else I'll have to censor you.
You guys are so dang sweet, it almost brings a tear to my eye.
We Both whipped around to see Owen and Philip sitting upright in their bed, watching us intently like a semi-amusing movie. How long have you guys been awake? Long enough.
I had no idea you were such a loving little sap. Your reputation as a punk bad boy is in tatters.
Oh, goodness, I have no idea. I'll have to look that one frame by frame to see if anything peeked out. Anyway, oof. Owen continued laughing as Sissel leapt across the room to smother him with a pillow. Philip sighed and barrel rolled away with his booted leg to avoid getting caught in the crossfire. I was thankful for the momentary distraction as I tried to wipe away the tears that were threatening to stain the sheets. Philip cleared his throat loudly. At the risk of sounding like a sappy romantic like Sissel here, I, don't have many friends. Owen managed to poke his head out from Sissel's smothering grip with a grin.
Really? But you have such a warm and loving personality.
He's just catching all the strays. They're not stray, they're aiming for him. Philip promptly shoved Owen's face back into its pillowy grave. My point is, I'm glad that I've got you guys. So if you need me to do battle with your debt collectors or need a hand with dealing with your moping sessions, I'll be there. Owen let out a muffled grunt of agreement from underneath the small mountain of bedding. It was all a bit too much for Sissel. He finally released his pillowy death grip, his ears drooping with embarrassment.
You guys call me the sap.
It's contagious. We're all going to be poetry spouting romantics by the end of this.
Talking about our feelings.
Describing our sappy dreams at 3 a.m. Hugging and holding hands at every chance we get. Sissel spluttered, his face seething red as he pelted us with as many pillows as he could get his hands on.
You're all the worst. I take back everything I said earlier.
Hey, put that down.
Hey, don't take my sheets. I'm not wearing anything underneath.
Sissel's flustered rage was savage. Owen and I... What? Yeah, I got that right. Owen and I bore the brunt of the assault as Sissel tossed us to the ground and trapped us in tangled blanket burrito. We tried very hard to hold in our laughter as he pelted us over the head with very soft cushions as punishment. Philip managed to avoid the bloodshed by waving his booted leg like a bludgeoning weapon. Sappy nonsense aside, how are you feeling, Sissel? I mean, we just spent a whole day rescuing your newly discovered uncle and fleeing from gun-wielding debt collectors who killed your mom. You probably have some opinions on all that. Sissel paused his pillow violence with a thoughtful look.
I'm surprisingly okay. With all you guys by my side, I feel weirdly safe. Honestly, I'm more worried about Boss than anything else. Your uncle? Yeah. We've only had one conversation since all this happened, and that was with a door between us. He's been holed up in his room since. He's probably just needs some time on his own to sort himself out. But...
Sissel sighed and flopped back onto our bed, leaning his head on my shoulder.
Herschel's kind of like me. If he never had idiots like you guys to keep him afloat. That gross feeling when people care for you and you can't do anything but to repay them. I know it well.
Do you have any plans to reach out to him? Sissel shot me a sly grin.
I think I'll follow your example and smother him with kindness. Like in that weird dream where you dragged me out of my moping shack to camp out in Bradley Woods. I'm gonna make sure he knows that I'll be there for him, no matter how mopey he gets. I'll get through to him, just like how you guys got through to me.
Aw, you're gonna infect him with your sappiness. John was right, that shit is really contagious. Oh, and thus with one pillow projectile, we promptly learned that the old saying, cats always land on their feet, was a sack of lies. Unlike Owen, however, Philip had a tendency to fight back. The night soon descended into a savage pillow fight that ended with Morse banging at our door telling us to keep the noise down. Oh, that's fun. Kind of ignoring the injuries they have, but whatever, it's fun. As we settled back down to enjoy what few sleeping hours we still had, a strange sense of melancholy washed over me. That dream that Sissel mentioned, where we all camped out in Bradley Woods, it felt like an eternity ago. Fucking tell me about it, Jesus. It was an easier time, where everyone was just sort of hanging out without a worry in the world. Everyone. I sat up from my bed and reached for my phone, scrolling through my contacts till I found Ginny's number. With a few quick taps, I sent her a few texts telling her about the day's events and asked if she was doing well. Hope to see you soon. I ended the long message and clicked send. No answer. That melancholic weight hung heavier over me. She was probably fine. It was like 4 a.m. right now. It's normal for her not to answer immediately. With a sigh, I sank back into the bed at Sissel's side. As exhaustion slowly lulled me to sleep, I kept wondering if Ginny was all right. I haven't heard from her in a while. All of us hanging out like this, things just didn't feel the same without her. Uh-oh. In a small hospital across town, Ginny laid in an exhausted slump, her face stony and cold. Hallie stood at her bedside, her head hung in a defeated slump. Time was running out. I was a fool. I never should have used my strength to help that damn brat and save his friends. Your lifeline would have lasted longer. Ginny didn't reply. Her eyes were glazed over, her mind a fog of painkillers and exhaustion. Even so, she let out a small laugh. What would be the point? Hallie glared. I'm tired of fighting this fight. How many times do I have to see you like this? When will this repeating nightmare end? Ginny smiled and turned to look at her crestfallen wish. It would have ended a long time ago if you just let me go. At that, Hallie snapped up and glared at her wordlessly. Ginny only sighed and sank deeper into her pillow, wincing at the tiniest movement. Her bones ached, and her lungs strained with each breath she took. Look on the bright side. At least I get to sleep in a comfy bed this time around. I don't remember clearly, but I think last time I was buried under a burning building. This way is preferable, if a bit boring. Hallie's scowl deepened. Jenny could only laugh. You need to start taking this seriously. How many years have we been doing this song and dance? If I didn't try to have a bit of fun with it, I would have gone crazy already. This is fun to you? She shrugged. I got a little bit more time to spend with my friends. For me, that's enough. Suddenly, there was a faint shimmer in the corner of their eyes. A fleck of pale light floated through the open window and hovered into the room like a spray speck of dust. Hallie stood up and glared. Well, if it isn't the stray little star. You look awful. The voice chuckled in a quiet, disembodied hum. And you've still got the personality of a wet sponge. Who's really winning here? Hello. You must be John's wish. What are you doing here? For a moment, the speck shimmered brighter, its glow flooding the room with light. Echo peered over the sickly girl in the hospital bed. She looked so small and frail, a stark contrast to her usual boisterous self. It was a rather heart-wrenching sight. Geneva Corliss. I'm out of time. Ginny coughed out a laugh. Coincidence.
It looks like we're in the same boat.
And we both have things we must do before we go. Same boat indeed. She frowned, perplexed.
Things to do? What do you mean by that?
John and his friends are pushing forward, weaving a new future for themselves. But I don't think they'll quite reach it without you.
I appreciate the compliment, but I don't think they need sickly old me with them. They seem to be doing fine so far.
You're their friend. They need you. Hallie glared coldly.
She has given more than enough already. She has nothing left to give. You and your friends have returned her efforts with nothing but a quickened end.
Ginny weakly reached out and grasped the edge of Hallie's sleeve. The ashened wish halted with an incredulous look.
It's fine, Hallie. I would have it no other way.
Hallie gritted her teeth and sat back down, arms crossed. Echo watched them quietly. His gaze drifted from Hallie and then back towards Ginny. What was it that you wished for all those years ago?
I wanted just a little more time.
Echo smiled gently. Then you will have it. I have very little time left myself, but I can use what little I have to extend yours. It may be a few days, weeks, or maybe even months. I'm not sure at this point, but I know that I can lengthen the thread of your life just a little longer. Ginny struggled to lift her head with a frown.
Wait, but what'll happen to you?
Echo smiled wryly. With some luck, maybe that thing and I will finally disappear for good. He turned towards Hallie, who was watching him quietly, her face torn between disdain and gratitude.
Protecting Ginny is my job.
I know. But the past few weeks have taught me that there is beauty in accepting help from others, despite feeling unworthy of it. Hallie said nothing, her brow furrowed in a bitter frown. Echo's face softened as he smiled. I envy you. I really do. To be born as a kind and pleasant wish.
I'm nothing of the sort.
You were. Maybe you strayed a little, but everyone does sometimes. I know this repeating nightmare has worn you down, but maybe someday you'll find that kindness again. Echo sighed. He gazed between the two before him. If I may ask for something selfish, could you two look after him when I'm gone? He's been getting better lately, but he's always been a bit hopeless when left on his own. Ginny nodded firmly.
Of course. I'll make sure everything turns out all right this time. And thank you.
Echo smiled. Don't look so sad about it. That's a thing you always say. Oh, there it is. I'll see you again soon. Oh, God. Well, that... Damn! Okay, well, yeah, I was just about to say, like, well, yeah, that pretty much confirms it, that, the fucking remnant is Echo. But fuck, man. All right, this recording session has gone on for a long time. Like, I want to keep going, but I didn't know that I was this many days behind. So I will continue this on the next recording session. I don't know how many episodes this got split into, but yeah, I will be back to finish this soon. Until then, though, thank you all very much for watching these episodes of Repeat. I hope you have a very nice day. And yeah, I've been the Chained Up Professional, and I'm gonna lay down now. Bye, everyone.